Hey there guys, I'm going to continue my video on gear and equipment. Now I'm going to start with the transport of telescopes. Here's the two different systems I use. This is the box that the Meade came in. And this is the bag that the Celestron goes in. I'm not too fond of this bag because it's very thin foam. I'm gonna try to buy some charcoal foam to make it better. And if you wanna buy a better box than that, I would definitely recommend a hard case like this. Firm, got firm charcoal foam. Definitely buy the firm charcoal foam. It's an excellent material to buy. Definitely recommend it. Now I'm gonna go over everything I take out with me when I go to an observing thing. I use this here, which is an observing log that I get through my astronomy club that is affiliated with the Astronomical League. I also use sometimes the instruction manuals. I also use books like this, 50 Things to See with a Small Telescope. This is an excellent book. I've not been able to use it too much, but it's definitely a good resource. I might even recommend buying this book prior to even buying your telescope, because it gives you this excellent resource in the beginning here of what this guy recommends for prices on telescopes and everything. Another good book, Stargazer's Guide to the Night Sky. I really like this book because this just covers in general astronomy, astrophotography, everything. It also comes with this here, which is a planisphere. I'm going to show you that on the inside. This is a planisphere. It tells you by month, date, and time. And they sell these for different hemispheres and different things like that. Definitely, I would recommend getting one of these. They're about $10. They're not much if you don't buy a book like this. But if you buy a book that comes with one, that's an even better deal. This is something that also came with the Meade. It's not super useful for me because I've done the on-step modification, but it definitely gives some nice information in here of what was on the controller when I had the controller operating, but it decided to no longer work. Another thing, I would buy batteries, button cell batteries. This is a D battery. You can buy even AA's. You're definitely going to need that for some of the other equipment that I'm going to show you in just a moment. I'd get a Phillips screwdriver. This one pulls apart and has a flat blade screwdriver on the other side. It also has two different size Phillips. I would definitely recommend getting that. I would get a couple wrenches. I'd get some Allen wrenches too. Now, let me show you some other things I use. Filters. Most of these were hand-me-downs to me. I bought one of these sets, but these are mostly hand-me-downs. I have a mix of Orion and Celestron in this one. This is a mix of Newer and Orion. That's my CPL. This is a moon filter. It's not a purple filter, it's a moon filter. This is moon filter. I would definitely get a moon filter. You can get sets of them that are dark and light. I don't have one yet. I'm wanting to get one eventually. But right now, I'm trying to save a little bit because I have to do my astronomy on somewhat of a budget. This is another thing I'd recommend here, which is a notebook. I got a clipboard. Definitely get a clipboard, especially if you're going to do the observing logs like I recommended over there, because you're going to need that, because there's some observing things in the back of those that you can print out here. Here's one of them. There's another style. This is the other style. You can print these out. You can make as many copies as you want. And then you can draw whatever it requires, everything you're looking for. But in order to get affiliated with those, as far as I know, you have to get part of an astronomy club. You can definitely go to the Astronomical League's website and find their logs and find their information of clubs. This is another thing. If you don't want to buy a big notebook like that, you can just buy a notepad like this. You can buy them with lined paper or regular paper. Great resource to have. This is the reason for the D batteries. A flashlight. You want it to be red light. You can buy specifically red light. This one here, I put a filter in here. And the filter is made out of like page dividers, or even you can make it out of like special red film that you can buy. Both work. But I don't prefer this one because it's old and it's not super bright. I much more prefer this one, which has multiple settings. It's got a green light, or I think that's a blue. That's the red. There's the blue. The other one was green. That's the green, blue, red, and blue. And then it's also got this one, this one, this one, and that one, SOS. It's also got one in the back that is an SOS, solid on, blinking. This is another thing that you'll definitely need for your telescope, eyepieces. Doesn't matter what type, I'll probably go over that later, but I definitely need to note to you, get the highest number you can for seeing deep sky objects and the lowest number for planetary. Another thing to use would be a Barlow lens. You can get 3x, you can get 2x, you can get 5x, whatever. Those are definitely useful tools. Another thing would be the Telrad. It is basically a finder scope for you, and it is actually better than a finder scope because it creates a red circle that we may be able to get to see. Let's see if it'll even work. If I can get the phone. There you go. See that red circle in the middle there? You're looking for that. That's how you line it up. And you can dim it or brighten it using this control here. I generally dim it if you're looking at a really dim star, but it really depends upon your star. You got to kind of play with it a little bit. And that is very simple to attach. It attaches with a plate like this. I bought this one for the Meade because you can basically take this thing on and off, interchange it from telescope to telescope. You can adjust it by the 3 little screws right there on the back. It's very easy to use. It's a lot better than your finder scope because most finder scopes, like this one, or even this one, flip the image upside down. And the Telrad just makes it much easier. Another thing I would recommend be some of these little bubble levels. These are like little sticky on ones. These are the round ones. Definitely look for these because these level a surface, not a flat line, which makes it a lot easier because you really need to worry about your tripod's surface being level. I've got one attached on this one. The Meade has some built into it. I'm probably gonna add one to this tray to replace out this unit because this thing is mixed use of good, or whether it's good or bad. Because if it gets air in it, it builds a second bubble and then it creates a problem. And that one sometimes does, sometimes doesn't. Now I'm gonna go over the pieces of equipment you'll need for just maintenance on your telescope. Number 1 is a culminator. This one is a laser one. You can buy a Cheshire or a culmination cap. A culmination cap is basically a mirror on the one side of the cap and then a hole poked in the top of it. Or you can buy a Cheshire, which is basically just like this, except no laser. You just look through a pinhole in the top and you line up your crosshairs on the end because it works like a gun sight. Now, this is just an accessory I got with the Meade, which is basically a tube planisphere is what I'd call it. You look in the one end, and then you can see the constellations in there. And it has 2 different caps here that you pop them out. This one is a northern hemisphere. There's a southern hemisphere one. You just dial in your stuff on the outside here in order to get everything right. It also has this, which would avoid your planisphere problem, called, these have different latitudes on them for depending upon where you are. This one is 50 to 60 degree latitude, which if you lived in that area, you could easily deal with it. It's super simple. It just pops in the inside between these 2 pieces. It's super simple. And it's called a Stellarscope. And this is what we get to throw to the trash. All of that, which was in that Meade telescope there. We've got it all pared down, all of that pared down to this unit, which is OnStep. It's an excellent unit. It's got a whole bunch of different features. It's got DC RA motor. It can control your camera. You do not need to have fancy gear such as for using cameras like ASI Air. Don't buy them. They're not worth it, especially when you can do it in here. Or you can get the app, like I'll pop in the bottom that I don't know if you can get it on Android, but I know you can get it on iOS. It is a photo stacker. Or you can get other softwares that automatically do the photo stacking for you. Or you can buy a Raspberry Pi and build your own photo stacker. You can do whatever you want with that. I don't do much astrophotography other than on my phone. That's all I do. But this one, I really like it because it's motorized, it's handy to use, easy and simple. It also came with this here, which is a motorized focuser. I can't make it work just yet because it uses an aux plug, like here. And you'll definitely need to make an aux plug adapter for your OnStep. And the password for this, if you're gonna hook it through Wi-Fi, which it doesn't exactly generate its own Wi-Fi, but it's kind of more like kind of its own hotspot kind of thing. I don't know what to call it exactly, but something weird like that. But you go in your Wi-Fi, you put in the password, and the password is password. Very simple, easy, basic. Super simple to use. And that's the Pro version of it I got, because it's got lots of USB ports. It's got lots of ports on it, which makes it really handy to use. You can get smaller versions of it that are cheaper. I've never used them, but they might work really well. The only problem I've had with this one is sometimes it doesn't want to pair to your phone because you wirelessly connect to it and it doesn't always want to work. But most of the time it works. And if you are going to do this, definitely get a 6-foot cable from Amazon because the cords that come with the OnStep are not long enough. And definitely think into getting cases for your eyepieces. Like I'm using a cardboard box here. Definitely do what I did here, using metal tins for your filters and foam. You can buy metal tins. I recycled phone cases. They work great. But that's pretty simple and straightforward on everything I use. And some things you need to know for the upcoming solar eclipse in April the 8th are get your solar eclipse film now, because this way if it comes damaged or anything like that, you can replace it and simply fix it. I would also get, if you're not using a telescope, definitely get glasses. And I bought this pack off Amazon for like 12 pairs. Pretty cheap price, like 10 bucks. It's not bad. And don't forget to subscribe in order to continue learning about astronomy and maybe making the Artemis 2 launch possible in 2025.